dropped on a Monday for Soccer's Morning Show. John here, you there. Welcome to Soccer Down Here. No, this is not Office HD. We'll put that to rest right now. This is not Office HD. The boss and I, with Columbus Day being the international holiday that it is, we decided to steal up here to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I would turn the camera and everything to my right, your left, I think, and I would show you what Chattanooga looks like at 9:05 in the morning, but you'd get like that big flare of light, and it would probably blind you, and it wouldn't do anybody any good. But the boss and I came up to Chattanooga and caught Jason Isbell over at Soldiers and Sailors last night. Very, very good show. Here's your proof, or at least here's part of your proof. There you go. There's the tour. Yeah, Nelson got the lid. The wife got the gear. So there you go. Busy show this morning, and there's one of the worst kept secrets apparently in all of soccer. We're going to talk about whatever's on your mind involving Atlanta United, whatever's on your mind involving the rest of Major League Soccer, MLS Next Pro, USL Championship, USL League One. We had some things discussed and figured out this weekend as the lower divisions get one more week closer, if that's proper English, 1 week closer to the end of their regular season. And Nick's good to see you as well. And we'll talk about that also as a part of all of this. So a lot of stuff in the lower divisions. They're 1 week closer. The end of the regular season is next week for them. We had Darren Van Tassel on Friday to discuss the regular season home closer for South Georgia Tormenta, and they've got Morning Abbey. They got some work to do. We'll get into that, lower divisions, Major League Soccer, all that kind of stuff. And so basically, once again, it's a reaction Monday, whatever's on your mind involving Atlanta United and the rest of Major League Soccer. So opening kickoff was not the fact that I'm up here in Chattanooga. Obviously, everything. Let's do traffic for the week now that I'm thinking about it. Back tomorrow, morning, Kefsey. Back tomorrow at Office HD, but it is a big day for SDH tomorrow. We are broadcasting live from Oglethorpe and Emory, one of the longest-standing rivalries in the South. We're going to be doing the Oglethorpe-Emory game tomorrow on the network. Pre-game show, match, post-game show. So be ready. If you're not going to be at Oglethorpe and Emory inside the perimeter tomorrow, we will be having that match on the air for you. So once again, pregame show, and Jason will have the call. I'll have your pre, half, and post, and we'll lay all that stuff out for you there. But Oglethorpe and Emory tomorrow. Guests on an international week. Let's see if Bart can join us and do Bart down here. Men's, David. We're doing the men's games. Dylan and Bart hopefully on Wednesday. Thursday we'll have Nico talking about stuff, and Friday will be obviously a little different because of not as many weekend whip around games, but we will have our friends from Beyond Goals, and hopefully Michael Parkhurst can join us and we can talk about him and the Golden Spike and wearing the Anton jersey and all of those things. Morning Five Stripe, and we'll have all of that stuff on Friday. And I think, yeah, that's it. So traffic fairly normal with guests and such, but the biggest news, Oglethorpe and Emory on the men's side. Hoping to have John Aiken with us from Oglethorpe as a part of that. But the men's game for Oglethorpe and Emory tomorrow from Emory, pre, half, and post, all of that stuff. We'll get into that. So lay out your thoughts for Atlanta and Columbus. We will get everything squared away with your thoughts on Atlanta United Columbus Crew. So whatever's on your mind with that, we'll get into that. Obviously, as we go, we'll get into Major League Soccer, all those kinds of things. So, all right. So opening kickoff. Now that I finally got our traffic out of the way, opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. A lot of you may think that for those of you who are watching on Facebook and Twitch and on the Twitters, that might be an improvement. That's the QR code for those of you who are watching for our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. what you need to do there is thanks to everybody who has been kicking off their day with Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com, first and foremost. And for those of you that wish to do so, don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off of your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth game and youth initiatives from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and at kickoffcoffeeco.com. The boss is not using Kickoff Coffee. We probably should have brought some of that with us this morning, and we'll see what's going on with she has admitted that the particular hotel chain that we are at, she actually does approve of their hotel coffee. So we'll get into all of that. But once again, Kickoff Coffee, Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games and youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Now, worst kept secret in all of soccer apparently started late Saturday. That's when all the games were. So late Saturday, we had we were waiting. I'll pull back the curtain here a little bit. And by the way, I don't have my normal cups here with me, but pull back the curtain a little bit. We were waiting for Gonzalo Pineda and the press conference. And we get news out of Washington, D.C. And the news out of Washington, D.C. is that Wayne Rooney has decided to part ways with D.C. United. And literally, this is as the press conference has started with Gonzalo Pineda. We get news that Wayne Rooney has decided to part ways with D.C. United. And we are all kind of looking at each other going, okay, that's interesting. That now makes 9 managers out of a probable 13 that will change either this season or in the offseason. So, yes, it has, Kefsey. And it has spun again. The British footballer manager carousel has spun again. So we're literally in the press conference with Gonzalo Pineda. It starts, and we see that news come across. It had been rumored for quite some time that with the owners at Birmingham City in the championship being American, and so you can start your ugly American comments here, that if they were not pleased with John Eustace after survival, finishing 17th with 3 matches to go, they weren't going to get relegated. They stayed in the championship for another year. That if they're discontent, meaning they, the owners at Birmingham City, they were going to be all bent out of shape about John Eustace. Hey, let's get Wayne Rooney. So Wayne Rooney decides that he's not going to, with DC probably not making the playoffs. They're in the barn. They're done. They played their 34th match this past weekend. They decide it's like, okay, season's over. Rooney's parting ways, all these kinds of things. So then we see that go down. And it had been rumored for quite some time that there was interest by Birmingham City, and remember, minority owner Tom Brady, to bring Wayne Rooney back if they were not pleased with John Eustace. So this morning, as we put 1 and 1 together, as we put A plus B into our equation, according to our friends at TalkSport and various other sources, we'll get to the verbiage here in a second. TalkSport and the Telegraph are reporting the club has announced, meaning Birmingham City, John Eustace has been sacked despite them sitting 6th in the championship. They would be in the promotion playoff picture right now. But they're not happy with John Eustace. And if they can bring in Wayne Rooney, they'll bring in Wayne Rooney. So apparently that's what they're doing. A club statement read, quote, "It is essential that the board of directors and the football management are fully aligned on the importance of implementing a winning mentality and a culture of ambition across the entire football club. With this in mind, Birmingham City has today parted company with head coach John Eustace. Eustace departs after 15 months in charge, having helped to stabilize and strengthen the club on the pitch following his appointment in July of 2022. In his first season at the helm, guided the team to 17th place finish, securing Sky Bet championship status, 3 games remaining during his time at St. Andrews, galvanized the squad to deliver a number of memorable moments in testing circumstances." And then they thank him in the next paragraph. They talk about his dedication. Then here's how it finishes. It is now officially 9, Ricky, with Wayne Rooney. It is now 9, probably heading to 13. A new first-team manager. This is Birmingham City, quote. A new first-team manager will be announced in the coming days who will be responsible for creating an identity and clear, in quotation marks, no fear, that's their words, no fear playing style that all Birmingham City teams will adopt and embrace. The club will be issuing no further comment at this time. And so then, the Guardian, the Telegraph this morning, John Perry, a little before 6 a.m. our time. Wayne Rooney will be announced as the new manager of Birmingham City after the shock sacking of John Eustace. Departed DC United over the weekend, understood to have already held talks with Birmingham's new ownership. Remember what he did at Derby County with less than no money. Really proved his mettle as a manager. Telegraph Sport reported he'd be a serious contender. Gary Cook, Birmingham chief exec, is leading the appointment process. Held talks with Eustace Monday morning to inform him he'd be leaving the club. I'm going to hold talks with you to tell you that you're leaving. Interesting phraseology. 2 successive wins, but was told, meaning Eustace, Birmingham were moving in a new direction. Otherwise known as Rooney, Wayne. And then they run through the statement as well. So it appears that the worst-kept secret of the weekend, Wayne Rooney out the door, not renewing his contract with DC United, and he's going to be named the new manager at Birmingham City. So once again, color me shocked when you have press conference elements that end up being the way that they are. So press conferences, it's like, I'm not renewing. Yeah, okay, let's put 1 + 1 together and come up with 11. It's not that hard. So Rooney's going to be named the new manager at Birmingham City. There had been discussions that his family was not on this side of the Atlantic, and so it makes a lot of sense on a lot of different fronts that Wayne Rooney is no longer the manager of DC United. He goes, I'm out. Birmingham City decides to dispose of John Eustace in a promotion playoff spot because they can get Wayne Rooney. They want to make the big splash. Big splash. Wayne Rooney, John Eustace. Not a difficult decision to make. So they're going to probably splash Wayne Rooney out in front of the cameras at Birmingham City. So congratulations, Birmingham City fans. You're going to end up with Wayne Rooney and you're in a promotion playoff spot. I'm not denying that you are in a good position to bring in Wayne Rooney. That's what you were looking for. You want to make the splash. You bring in Wayne Rooney. Yes. Yes. And Kefsey, legitimately. Kefsey says, well dodged, Everton. Legitimately, to your point, I would have thought that if Everton, but the thing is, Everton can't pay anybody. If they wanted to let go of Sean Dyche, then are they going to bring in Wayne Rooney? They probably couldn't afford to. They can't afford to pay more than one manager at a time. So they're stuck with Sean Dyche, although they did get a win on the weekend. And they couldn't have brought in Everton. Legitimately, I thought that Everton would have been the place for Wayne Rooney. Legitimately would have thought that would have been the place. Yeah. And so Everton wins. And Sean Dyche apparently is going new school, whatever that means. But, yeah, I would have legitimately thought that Wayne Rooney would have been to Everton. That would have been the hire. But it looks like Rooney's going to cut his teeth at Birmingham City. And then when things fall apart at Everton, or maybe at Bramley Moordock when they move into the new barn, Tom Ropes, that's when you bring Rooney in. Success at Birmingham City, then he's still getting, adjusted to life as a manager in England. And you end up with that as your path, perhaps, for Wayne Rooney. But, yeah, worst-kept secret in Major League Soccer / English football happening legitimately during the Gonzalo Pineda press conference. Wayne Rooney goes, I'm out. And now we're adding 1 + 1 coming up with Birmingham City. So, not a shock. Not a shock at all. But we'll see how it goes. Tom says that you'll be okay. Yes. And Everton down here will be okay if Dominic Calvert-Lewin can stay healthy, and that's a big if. Harrison makes a huge difference. That is true. So it will be interesting to see how. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and say this now, since we're in our Premier League discussion before we're heading into Atlanta United. If you have not seen the Chris Basham injury, do not look it up. Do not look it up. I don't care. You might have seen it. You might not have seen it. If you haven't, don't look. Don't look. Sheffield United on the weekend. Morning, Alex. Sheffield United on the weekend. Chris Basham injury. Don't look it up. I'm saving you a click. I feel like that Twitter account. Saving you a click. Don't search for the Chris Basham injury. Do not. So don't do it. And I've saved you a click this morning. You know me. Give. Always a giver. Too much glare. There we go. No, still too much glare. What's going on? You think you want to adjust something and then it adjusts itself, and there we go. All right. Let's see. It was ankle. Let me see if we've got a. I want to get the official word on it, but it was an ankle break. It's like he stopped, wanted to change directions, and it was a man ankle. All right, so I want to get the official word. The official words. Let's see. Stretch it off, including oxygen. Thumbs up. 14-minute delay. So planted his foot. I mean, literally, it was with oxygen. 14 minutes. No diagnosis officially. And apparently he has broken his silence after undergoing surgery. Let's see. Attempting to clear ball, stopped for 14 minutes, transported, undergone surgery with another operation due to take place. Basham took to Instagram Sunday, so you could probably look him up on Instagram. Doesn't go into any kind of detail. Does not go into any kind of detail, but it looks like it was one surgery leading toward another. And full props, by the way, to Tim Ream. It was against Fulham. Full props to Tim Ream for being the first guy over there to talk to him and be with him after the incident happened, as they're waiting for the stretchers and they're getting the analysis and trying to figure out how to get him off the pitch. Tim Ream, first guy over to be there with Basham. But yeah, it was ankle right at the base. Probably, I mean, it's probably both tib and fib at the base. But no, do not watch. Do not look. Do not look. I'm telling you, I'm reminding you, and I will continue to remind you. Don't look for the injury. Don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't. Okay. That's rather long opening kickoff. It was Chris Basham from Five Stripe. It was Chris Basham from Sheffield United. Sheffield United in their match with Fulham over the weekend. So, yeah, Chris Basham, Sheffield United, injury, don't look. So, like I said, saved you a click on a Monday. And that is opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. There's the QR code blocking out my face. And that is where you need to go for your morning kickoff. And thanks to everybody who has done so. See what I did there? Opening kickoff right there, Kickoff Coffee. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchases. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into the youth game, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and at kickoffcoffeeco.com. So, all right, Atlanta United and Columbus. First and foremost, how many of you there? Show of hands. And lay out your thoughts in the Twitch pitch. We'll go over the match, and we'll lay everything out. And Atlanta United, obviously, they are not, in capital letters, going to have a match this weekend. They are partaking in the international break. Not everyone is, because we got some makeup matches. And so it's 2 weeks before decision day against Cincinnati. Nothing to play for. Might play folks for a half, that kind of a thing. But we got 2 weeks to get to that. 2 weeks to get to that particular thing. So Columbus, damn good team. And Kefsey. Kefsey says Parky knows he can't break the spike, right? I'm hoping, Kefsey, I'm hoping that Parky will be the one to join us on Friday, because we can discuss the hammering of the spike. We can discuss that and discuss his form. So we can hopefully next time Parky's on, we will discuss what it was like for him to be back, and we will definitely discuss the handling of the sledgehammer and the hammering of the spike. So file that away. If I forget, next time Parky's on the show, we can talk to him about it. But Ricky, to your point, Parky almost made you tear up. I mean, when Michael comes out and he's wearing the Anton Walks jersey, as true captain class that Michael Parkhurst is, to be able to see that, very, very cool thing for Atlanta United fans. So Ricky, my wife had us get up in the 93rd minute, so I did not see Miles score live. Shake my head. Well, Ricky, we can help you out there. We really can, and I think we probably will. So, let's go ahead and help you out. We got a couple of different versions, and if I can find, where was it? I thought I downloaded the other one. Did I only download the one version? I thought I downloaded both versions. Okay, silly me. Maybe there's too many things that I've downloaded into the library, but it is the important version that was there. So here's how it was called. It was 1-0, and it was 1-0 until 90 plus 6. Until this moment happened. Mike and Jason on the call, courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app.
This will be the final kick of the game as Atlanta United tries to steal a point. Angle is to Schulte's extreme left. This is just outside the right corner of the 18. Thiago Almada with hands on hips. Up to it. Strikes it. Back post. Header! Score! They stole a point! And it's Miles Robinson! To give Atlanta United home field advantage, but it's something to feel good about in their final regular season home match. They steal a point right at the end. This will be the final kick of the game as Atlanta United try.
This is what happens when you don't take the loop out when you think you take the loop out. But anyway, that was the call from Mike and Jason at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app late. I'm going to say this, and I know that this is probably, I'm not speaking out of school here. Columbus is a good team. Atlanta United had opportunities, had a couple of missed opportunities, missed connections here and there. We'll go over the numbers and the percentages that we always like to do here from our friends at SofaScore, going over the numbers of the match. But Columbus is a very good team. And when you've got a front line that's got Diego Rossi and Cucho Hernandez for starters, and Schulte had a game where he was, yes, and I'll go ahead and use the hockey analogy, he was standing on his head. So Schulte came up with some really big saves, and you end up with the end result that you did, where Atlanta United, on a ball that is deflected, and it's just a stupid goal. Ball's deflected, as I think it was Sasechu was trying to clear. Ball's deflected, ends up right in the way, and it's an easy shot on net, and you get your finisher there for the 1-0 advantage at the time. So going into our numbers, courtesy once again of our friends at SofaScore. And where's the frickin' previous? Okay. That's what happens when you're trying to find something and it doesn't load up everything. All right. So Atlanta and Columbus. Looking at your lineups once again. From the beginning for Atlanta United, Brad in net, your back four. And this was your Class A lineup. This was your Class A group. It was Brad in net, backline of Caleb, Luis Abram, who has been fantastic at the back. He has done some real yeoman work at the back. And it was Miles and Brooks as your back four. Midfield of Mateus Osechu, Tristan Muyumba, and Thiago Almada. And then up top, it was Saba, Silva, and Gigi. So looking at the numbers on the day, Luis Abram, even with all of his defensive stops, only pulled a 6.7, which I find somewhat interesting for my friends at SofaScore. They had Caleb Wiley at a 6.4, Miles at a 7.5 with the goal, Brooks with a 7, Muyumba with a 7, Mateus Osechu with a 7.2, Saba a 6.2. Looked like some of the connections were a little off with him. Thiago an 8.4, Shande Silva and Gigi both at 6.7s. Stats on the day. XG, for those of you that look at that kind of a statistic, 1.1 for Atlanta United and a 2.05 for Columbus. Possession 50-50. 22 shots for Columbus, by the way. Only 10 for Atlanta, but 4 of the 10 on target for Atlanta, only 6 of the 22 on target for Columbus. Columbus was more than happy to wind and fire from wherever they could. 7 blocks on the day for Atlanta United, only 1 block of a shot by Columbus. Then, where's all my other stats? Here we go. Yeah, scroll down. Big chances, 3-3. Both teams had 2 big chances missed. Shots inside the box, 14-5 for Columbus. Outside the box, 8-5. Brad had 5 saves on the day compared to 3 for Schulte, but Schulte's 3 came up big when he needed to be. Passing on the day, literally same number of passes, just about average. Columbus had 18 more completed passes than Atlanta United. Long balls, 29-24 for Atlanta United, completing 29 of 46. Each team had 6 crosses completed. 9 out of 11 dribbles for Columbus, 6 completed for Atlanta United. Atlanta United won more of your duels, 36 of 67, won more of them in the air. Columbus had more tackles, 14-12, more picks, 13-7. Atlanta had 21 clearances compared to 18. On the day, we mentioned, and I wanted to mention specifically Mateus Osechu defensively and Luis Abram. That, like I said, it just confused me that Abram, with all of his clearances, ends up with a 6.7. But I guess if you give up a goal, you end up with that kind of a number. Mateus Osechu on the day, 75 minutes. He had 62 touches, 94% passing at 47 out of 50, 2 for 2 on his long balls, 5 of 7 winning his ground duels. He had 1 clearance, 1 interception, 5 tackles on the day, and 1 dribble pass. Now, I wanted to get Luis Abram's numbers in here also as a comparison study. Luis played the full 90 minutes. 2 clearances, 1 pick, 1 tackle, 1 dribble pass, 1 ground duel, the 2 that he was forced with. 65 touches, 93% passing, 55 of 59, 3 of 5 on long balls on the day. So that was Luis Abram, who punched a 6.7, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense with those kinds of numbers. But that's what you were staring at with Atlanta United. But, yeah, Atlanta United, Columbus, they're a good team. They are a good team. And right now, the way that things are in standings in Major League Soccer, we'll go over that with Atlanta United's result. Obviously, now 4th is out of their control. So with the 1-1 draw, the point at the death, here's where things are in the Eastern Conference. Cincinnati, 68 points, 1 match to go, they're clear. So that's why I wouldn't be surprised if maybe you got starters running 45 for Pat Noonan a week from Saturday. And I wonder what that lineup's going to look like. You got nothing to play for. Same with Orlando. Orlando's locked into second, but then the fun starts. So Orlando is at 60. Philadelphia's at 55. Columbus is at 54. New England at 52, but they've got a match in hand. So if you're Atlanta United, you've got to win in Cincinnati to get to 53 points and hope that New England continues to hit the skids. 3-7-6 away from home in their final two matches. From everything that I've been able to glean from what's going on in the Northeast, Clint PA's system is taking a little while for them to get adjusted to. Understandably so, as PA was thrown into things after the Bruce Arena resignation. So New England away from home 3-7-6. So Atlanta can't finish any better than fifth, but they've got to win. Hope New England stumbles all the way through. Nashville's at 46 points. They're in seventh right now, once again, match in hand. And so Montreal at 41, but DC's at 40. But remember, DC's in the barn. They're at 34. They're at 34 matches played. They're done. That's why Rooney left. New York Red Bulls, match in hand. DC, one match to go, 33 points, 10 wins. Same record as Chicago, but Red Bulls have a massive goal difference advantage, 7 right now to Red Bull. So Chicago would have to blow out their dude, the dudes they're playing in the final match of the season, and New York would just have to stumble and not do much of anything. So Charlotte's at 39. They could be a part of the discussion. They've got a match in hand, so a lot will be determined by what Charlotte does this weekend. See if we can get Jess on the show on Friday to talk about it. NYC, 38 points. They're in 13th. Miami eliminated. Toronto eliminated. Toronto at 22 points, 4-19-10. Good luck, John Herdman. Western Conference. St. Louis, all caps. They're locked in at number 1 at 56 points. LAFC's at 51. Seattle's at 50. Houston's at 48. They all could have a part of that discussion for second place. Houston's at 48. Vancouver's at 47. This is how crazy it is. Literally, you've got 5 teams separated by 5 points. And Salt Lake has a match in hand because, remember, they had the match in Dallas that was canceled because of the weather. They've got to get that made up as a part of what's going on. So 5 teams, 5 points, 2 through 6. LAFC, Seattle, Houston at 48, Vancouver at 47, Salt Lake with a match in hand at 46. Portland is at 43 points, 1 to go. San Jose's at 43 points. They have 1 less win than Portland. Zombie Timbers have really come their way through, even though they're 2-8-7 on the road. San Jose, 43 points in 8th. Dallas, match in hand. Remember the makeup game that we just talked about with RSL. 32 points, or 42 points, 32 matches. Kansas City's at 41. Minnesota, and we'll talk about Minnesota on a couple of different levels in a bit. Kansas City at 41 points, 11 wins. Minnesota, 41 points, 10 wins. Austin eliminated, 38 points, and they had a shakeup in the front office with a lot of their player personnel folks, and they added scouts in Europe. LAG out at 35 points. You wonder about Greg Vanny. Colorado at 26 points, 32 matches to go. So LAG can only finish at 41 points. They can't get in. We had mentioned 9 managers now, Rooney being the 9th manager out the door. Is Josh Wolf a part of that discussion? Probably. Is Greg Vanny a part of that discussion? Probably. So that would get you to 11. Then Peter Vermes, that would get you to 12. And then is it Latanzio and Cushing, NYC and Charlotte, 13, 14 maybe? There's a lot to talk about in the offseason. We will have a lot to talk about when it comes to managers in the offseason, but that's your playoff situation. So biggest thing for Atlanta, win in Cincinnati gets you to 53 points. You can finish no higher than 5th. But, once again, Philly, Columbus, all of that chaos that's above you. Philly at 55, Columbus 54, New England match in hand at 52. You could play Philly. You could play Columbus. You could play New England. And if you fall down and Nashville wins, you could be the 7 and you could play Orlando. So Orlando, Philly, Columbus, New England. That's what it looks like. And we won't know until 2 weeks from now. So that's where we are. Now, I know that you guys have had a lot on your mind when it comes to comments. That's what we're here for. We'll talk them through. All right. So, Ricky, I hope I helped with the public service of playing the Mike and Jason goal in the 93rd minute. And legitimately, we see in the post-game press conferences, and you guys see in the matches, the AW armband that Gonzalo Pineda wears. It is still a part. Anton will always be a part of Atlanta United. And when Cap came out wearing the Anton Walks jersey, definitely something to sit there and make you feel about what's important, remind you what's important on a day like that. And Kefsey says it was nice to be able to celebrate him, Julian, and Darlington a bit. Yeah, Driver. Yes, Driver, Darlington, Nagby. Dominated up until that time. I mean, there were stretches, Michael, where Atlanta they were wrestling the game back, but Columbus, like I said, first half I thought was pretty even. The game was back and forth. There wasn't a whole lot of challenges on either net in the first half. There was the one chance where early on, and this was early, and then literally as I was taking my notes, as I always do when you guys see me at halftime, it was legitimately, I had notes for activity. It was the 6th minute opportunity for Brooks that we focused on for the Scana hot play is what you got to see, where Gigi was drawing 2 defenders with him, and it was almost like a crossing pattern where Brooks is on an inside run, Gigi's in the middle channel, then Gigi sees Brooks, cuts to his right, Brooks underlaps behind him and continues his run inside the 18. Thiago lays it off for Brooks. And you saw that with Caleb, you saw that with Brooks, where your outside backs were taking advantage of the space that was given to you. But legitimately, in my notes, I had that 6-minute opportunity, and then I didn't have anything for either team until I think it was Shande Silva for Atlanta United in the 30th. So I thought that the first half was fairly even, and then Columbus, second half, they had their opportunity, and like I said, it was a deflection that was Sasechi was trying to clear, deflected, Aiden Morris found it, and then it goes up in the back of the net. Tom says it was a rare missed game for him. Thrilled with the draw, as I have a good friend who's a Crew fan, was briefly an Atlanta United fan, then reverted back. So I hate losing to them. Tom, you are not by yourself. Now, all right. So, all right. Let me try to figure this out. So Tom has a good friend who's a Crew fan, was briefly an Atlanta United fan, then reverted back. How can you? All right. So you were a Crew fan, briefly an Atlanta United fan, then you went back to being a Crew fan. Are you a fan of either team? I'm just trying to figure out the logistics. Kefsey, Miles put it all into that thing. I didn't see Brad running around until the replay. Looked like a Columbus player. I didn't see Brad either. And then I said during the celebration, you see Brad coming from the back of the pile, and Brad was trying to work toward the near post, and you see Brad jump up initially as a part of that group at the near post. It goes over Brad, then it goes Aiden Morris. I think Aiden mistimed his jump. Miles times it perfectly. And what you're seeing these days is players who head the ball into the ground as opposed to head it directly on target. You end up with the ball going down into the turf because then the keeper can't do anything to try to defend it. Keeper's ready for something here in front of him. And then Miles, and you're seeing headers these days, headers going down into the turf or into the ground and then going up because the keeper is square to the player. And if the player decides to head it down, then there's no real response for an upright keeper. So, pardon the pun, heady play by Miles. And got the goal there at the equalizer, 90+5. And then Shooter is already fired up. Go Braves. Yeah, it was a great ending. Michael, Brad had some great saves. He did. The kick save early was definitely one of those. I think it was after The Brooks play 3 minutes later, 9th minute, Brad had a good kick save. And if he and Lennon don't have tremendous games, Columbus scores 3 or 4. Statistically dominated by Columbus. Tom, before you forget, ring the bell. Absolutely. Ricky's like, get out. Yeah, so and this is where we end up with baseball down here as a part of what we're seeing. Baseball playoffs. Atlanta Braves, by the way, if I read the stat correctly, the Atlanta Braves are only the third team, and like I said, this is game 1. And by the way, Jason Isbell's throwing out the first pitch for game 2 tonight. If I read the stat correctly, it's only the third time in Major League Baseball playoff history that a team that won the regular season best record was shut out in game 1 of a playoff series. I think it was 2000. I think it was Seattle in their season of craziness. Then it was like 1937 or something like that. So the Braves did something really special. For the third time ever in history, they got shut out in the first game of their playoff format. So the playoff appearances. So Braves did that. And Tom, being the resident Philadelphian, very, very excited. Tom says Braves tears are tasty right now. Abby, my son and I almost left section 83 to go to the supporter section for the loadout. Shooter, once again, Braves are going to win the series. Shooter, looking at it from the perspective of the New Englander, looking at it specifically, I guess, rooting against Philly. I don't think he's necessarily rooting for the Braves. I think he's rooting against Philly. So we'll see what happens there. And Shooter going after Shooter's just going ahead and firing off against anybody that he can. Shooter says, ring the bell. Maybe you guys, and this is to Philly fans, ring the bell. Maybe you guys can lose an MLS Cup and a World Series on the same day again. That should be a national holiday. So Shooter, if Shooter doesn't have things going well in Boston with the Revs or he's got hockey season coming up, but if it's not going well with the Revs or I guess with the Red Sox, just go ahead and open fire on everybody else. Ricky, this is definitely very cool. Happy Caleb's going to get to train with the U.S. for the Olympics. I hope he makes the squad. I think he will. I think that Caleb will make the Olympic squad. If he doesn't, I'd like to see what the rest of that roster is going to look like. But good on Caleb for being called up for the youth national team, and he'll get some reps. So really looking forward to that. Abby, what number did they give Hosechu? They gave him a 7.2. 7.2 for Mateus Hosechu, and he had actually a better rating than Muyumba. So once again, Mateus, 75 minutes played, 62 touches, 47 of 50 passing, 94%. Connected on both his long balls, 2 for 2. 1 shot on target, won 5 of 7 duels on the ground, and had 1 clearance and 1 interception, 5 tackles, and 1 dribble passed. So that was Mateus's numbers. I want to look at Luis Abrahams' defensive numbers. I know he punched a 6.7 playing all 90 minutes, but I wanted to see if they register them as clearances or tackles. 2 clearances, 1 interception, 1 tackle, 1 for 2 on the ground, 65 touches, 55 of 59 passing, 93%, 3 of 5 on long balls. And he got a 6.7. I'd love to know the baseline for how SofaScore does all of those numbers the way that they do. But yeah, so Hosechu got a better number than Muyumba. And I think we've seen that relationship with Hosechu and Muyumba, that where if you let Tristan Muyumba go, somebody's got to stay. And that individual who is staying is your point guard. That's your defensive oriented point guard in a 3-guard offense. If you look at that midfield as a 3-guard offense, you've got Almada as your shooting guard. You've got your scoring guard. Then you have your defensive guard. Your point guard is more Mateus Hosechu, and then the the passer who will shoot that will give you points would be Muyumba. So that's you got three different guards in that midfield in that 3-guard offense there, and you're really seeing, I think, the benefits of the relationship where Mateus is more defensive oriented. He's back there to help you. He's back there to help you pass and calm things down when you need him to. And lets Muyumba go forward, gives him the chance to go forward so Mateus can stay behind. And Thiago being Thiago, we know what Thiago does. But I think that you're seeing that symbiotic relationship, the two halves, the yin and yang with Hosechu and Muyumba, with bringing interest in Muyumba as a part of this. David on the goal. The Columbus goal, Hosechu looked tentative on the tackle. If refs do their job consistently and call PKs and fouls there, it was a smart choice for Hosechu to be cautious. Unfortunately, the bounce didn't go his way. And Ismail Elfath, I had very few issues with Ismail Elfath. Guy doesn't make his way to the World Championship tournament for nothing. And I think he called the game fairly well, unlike others that we've discussed in quite some time. SofaScore gave Hosechu a 7.2. And so he got a 7.2. So you can only finish higher than 5th, right? 5, 6, 7. So that's what you're staring at for Atlanta United. Tom, Atlanta United, still a work in progress. Clearly not as good as the top 4 or 5. Trust Garth will get it right. Because remember what Garth said. First and foremost, it was going to be short-term pain for long-term gain. And the early part of the season was trying to figure out, okay, what can be navigated, what can be maneuvered, so on and so forth. And you saw what could be done with a mid-season window, with that July window. And you brought in Xande Silva, you brought in Sabalob Janiza, and you brought in Tristan Muyumba. I look at it this way. Think about what an entire training camp with those individuals will be. No, and I admit that I am readily assuming that they are going to activate the sell clause on Xande Silva. And then you'll buy down Saba and turn him into a high TAM and all of that. So that's what I'm looking at. You have a full training camp. You'll have a full off-season, full integration with these guys. You've seen in bits and pieces what they can be with each other. I'm looking forward to starting a season with this group and whatever other individuals you're looking at that could be brought in. But let's get through this season first. But you're seeing what can be done with this group. And I'm looking forward to a full training camp, a full off season with everybody integrating and all of that. So I would readily assume that you're going to activate the sell clause on Xande Silva. You'll probably buy down Saba, make him a high TAM, and then you'll figure stuff out from there. But no, I'm looking forward to it to see how it all integrates with an off season. But we still got a postseason. We still got one game left one match left in the regular season, plus playoffs, 5, 6, or 7. I want Philly. I'm to the point where I want Philly now. I look at it as, and I know that Rich, when Rich comes in, really, Philly can be had. I'm sorry. Philly can be had. And I think that we've seen that here. We saw it with Atlanta United and Mercedes-Benz, how Philly can be had. And we'll roll from that. And I'm looking forward to it. Give me Philly. I want Philly with all of the stuff that they do, and I have made no secret about how I look at their play. I look at their style of play, and like I said, I'm not a fan of it. I get it. I absolutely get it. Look, everybody's got to have their own way of playing. And going up against Philly is like prepping for somebody who plays a 4-2-5 or a 3-3 stack on defense, and you're used to seeing a 3-4 or a 4-3. Offensively, it's like going up against somebody that's like a service academy, or you're prepping for the Navy or the Army, triple option V or whatever. You don't see it a whole lot. You don't see the 4-4-2 diamond a lot. That's their shtick. I get it. They have quality players, and I feel like I'm going into my Philly rant here. They have quality players who, when they go to Philadelphia, lose that quality. Jose Martinez, great player. But the disrespect that Jose Martinez shows center refs, once again, was evident this past weekend. And it was evident 2 matches ago. The disrespect that Jose Martinez shows center refs, and for center refs to not discipline him for it, that's a twofold issue. The falling down, the time wasting, the chippy fouling. But once again, look, I understand it. I get that that's how you're wired. I get that's your deal. You test the official, you test the center ref, you figure out where the line is, then you have others go to the line. I get it. I understand it. I don't like it. That's your way. For Philly fans, Rich Ransom, I know that's your way. We've had this discussion a lot. We will probably continue to have this discussion as long as Jim Curtin's head coach. That's your way. I don't like it. I want it. I want to go up against that. If I'm an Atlanta United fan, I want to go up against Philly because I can prove with my talent that they can be beaten. With that way that Atlanta United plays going up against the way that Philly plays, once again, we saw it at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I think it can be replicated in Chester. So I want Philly at this point. Bring it on. It's like the cheerleader movie. Bring it on. I want Philly. That's where I am. Kefsey. Shaqiri is making the investment worth it, right? In Chicago, absolutely he is. Was it $7 million a year? Hang on, let me check. MLSPA. Was it MLS Players on the web? Yeah, MLS Players Association. MLSplayers.org. All right, so salary guide. Not so big Shaq. I want to find out off the top of my head what Xherdan Shaqiri is making. $7,350 base, guaranteed compensation, $8,153,000. That's definitely making the investment worth it. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Michael, I think Charlotte and Miami are playing twice next week. Charlotte's playing this weekend. Yeah, they've got Charlotte and Miami have that home and home, and it's to make up for the, I think it's the Open Cup schedule. Because it was like a Wednesday, Saturday, midweek weekend, what have you. Yeah, Charlotte and Miami got a home and home over the last 2 matches of the season. So we'll see what's up with Charlotte. Can Charlotte answer the bell? Abby, what All Caps has done in their inaugural season is phenomenal. They'll go through what we did when they're not doing well. It'll be hard, and especially with that system that they employ. With Bradley Carnell with the Red Bullsian-based system. And we'll see what, how they handle that from a financial standpoint. Will the owners, to what level will the owners invest? What level will the owners invest? And, I mean, right now you have with Lutz Pfannenstiel, you have a group of players that are short of Roman Berkey, and I know that we're all sitting there going, why are you making a goalie a DP? Now we know. Bringing in those players that you are, and specific style of play, somewhat Red Bullsian with a bit of a twist. And with St. Louis, they're doing great. I don't think they're built for the postseason. I mean, legitimately, let's think about this. Short of being outside that building. All right, so on the road this year, they're under 500. They're 6-8-3, 11-3-2 at home. And there are more teams in the West above 500 than there are in the East. That should tell you about the West and the East. St. Louis would play the winner of San Jose and Dallas. I think they could handle that. And then they would end up playing Houston, Vancouver. I think that's where they run into trouble. Legitimately, I think that's where they run into trouble. If it's Houston, it's the 4 seed in round number 2. I think St. Louis is in trouble as we project out. But yeah, what they've done is great. They've found the pieces with Lewin and Klaus and Berkey and Tim Parker and Indiana Vasilev and Nico Gioacchini. There are pieces there, and they've done really well for themselves. I still think you get to that second round matchup, if it's Houston, they're in trouble. Ricky, we were discussing Austin. Josh Wolf is not a part of that discussion, according to Austin's sporting director. I always would think, already said he was coming back for 24. Okay. If he's coming back for 24, then the sporting director wants to do things from a talent perspective first. He wants to do things from that talent perspective and then sit there and judge, all right, I want to bring in my guys. How does Josh Wolf work this system? Then if Josh can't work and adapt to the guys that Borrell wants to bring in, then it might be. I will say this. It would not surprise me if Josh Wolf had one of the shorter leashes starting in the 24 season because of this. You give him the offseason. Borrell wants to bring in all of his guys. Here, all right, here's my guys. Here's my system. What do you want to do with this talent? You want to do this, and this. All right, let's all work forward. If it doesn't, Josh Wolf might be on one of the shorter leashes next season. So we'll see what happens. It is after the top of the hour, and let's see how much of the promo I can actually remember. So we'll get into music and read a promo, or at least try to recite a promo. It'll be a short version because I don't have the script in front of me. And we'll talk about odor-free, clean, fresh air. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go, it's Lemonized Service. Lemonized Service uses their proven scientific formula to help you with your issues. It's a turnkey process. Thank you, Ricky, for telling me what that is. That helps realtors and property managers coordinate with a Lemonized Service. Works all the way down to the molecule with their proven scientific formula. And that's always a good thing. It's better than a masking agent that you may have either above you in the cupboard or beneath you in the sink, because when you reach above you in the cupboard or beneath you in the sink or beneath the sink and you grab that masking agent, you spray it in the air, there's a reason they call it a masking agent. It's better than Febreze or those other masking agents that we may have in our collective cupboards, because when you spray that masking agent in the air, there's a reason they call it a masking agent. You're just spraying the odor, you're spraying the masking agent in the air, and you're not attacking the issue like our friends at a Lemonized Service do with their proven scientific formula. So if you want to have your issues attacked either by the cubic foot or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you want to have your issues attacked, go to a Lemonize's website, but do us a favor here at SDH. After the .com, and this is where I grab my pen, after the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from, so they can help you with your problems. To tackle odor-free, clean, fresh air, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, Lemonize.com /Atlanta. A Lemonized Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. That was close. Like I said, I don't have the full promo read here in front of me, so I'm sure that there were points that I missed that obviously I will come back to and read tomorrow. So we'll see what happens with all of that news. Once again, man's got to have his copy. He's got to do, he's got to make sure that everything is in one place. Fixupx.com. See, now this is the problem, because I am in. Let's see, since I don't have a second computer with me, you get to hear my notifications as well. And I got to figure out how to fixupx.com. /Goodman. See, and I can't even do a cut and paste out of the x.goodman status. See, this is my problem here, is that I can't quite fixupx.com/Goodman. So I did that. Jeff Goodman. Okay. Oh, Eric Goodman out of Austin. Okay, so this is the note about keeping Josh Wolf. And so Eric Goodman is hosting a poll, this morning. Bodell announces Wolf will return as club's head coach in 24. Quote, Josh is a very good young head coach, although results this year are disappointing. Fortunate to have a coach with his level of commitment and knowledge. I'm confident he's the right leader for this team. Goodman says this has been Bodell's stance since the moment he arrived in Austin. Clearly, the club's struggles of the last 3 months have not been jarring enough to change Bodell's mind. And so then Eric Goodman, at Goodman, by the way, on the X, has basically has a survey up. Are you Wolf in? Wolf in because only Bodell says so, or Wolf out and that Bodell is making a mistake? And some folks are already saying, well, I guess I'm Bodell out. So we'll see what happens. And Tom, to your point, next season really going to be interesting with Miami, especially if Modric shows up and Luis Suarez. Because remember, everyone is linked to Miami. Everyone is linked to Miami. And I know that the key to one of the DP slots is the buying down of Gregory, which we know will happen. So we'll see what the door that opens up. We'll see if there's anybody on a one-year contract, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, that may not be around next season. And so we'll see. We'll see if it's Modric. We'll see if it's Luis Suarez. We'll see who returns. But once again, I think that part of it is taking Gregory's salary, buying him down, opening up that third DP slot, and trying to figure out what you want to do to fade into that space. So we'll see what happens there. Abby says Caleb covered Julian well. Let's see what the numbers were for Caleb and then for the counterpart that you are discussing here, Abby. So we'll take both of those individuals and we'll look at those numbers. Lineups. Caleb at a 6.4, which I still find intriguing. Played all 90 minutes. 1 clearance, 3 interceptions. Only won 1 of his 4 duels on the day. 74 touches, 76% accurate passing, 1 of 5 on long balls, 0 for 2 on dribbles. All right, so then let's look at 7 for Columbus, who they say punched a 7.7, which I find is interesting considering I didn't think he did a whole lot. 90 minutes, 76 touches, 81% passing, 44 of 54. 1 cross, 1 for 3 on crosses, 3 for 3 on long balls, had 4 key passes, combination of crosses and long balls. 5 of 9 on ground duels, 0 for 1 in the air, so 5 for 10 in duels, 1 for 1 on dribble attempts, lost possession 17 times, fouled twice, 2 picks, 4 tackles, and a dribble passed. That seems like I don't remember him being that active, but okay. Driver was a 6.8. Played the full 90 minutes, 63 touches, 98% passing, 48 of 49. 1 long ball, 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target. 1 dribble attempt, 3 for 6 on ground duels. And it was 6 times possession lost, fouled once, 2 picks, a tackle, and 1 dribble passed. The numbers for our friends from CLB. Cucho had a 7.4 with a goal. Alexandru Matan had a 6.5. Diego Rossi had an 8. Zawadzki a 7. Aiden Morris a 7.1. Darlington Nagby a 6.8. Julian a 7.7. I don't see that. Mareda a 7.2. Camacho a 7. Yevin Shiberko a 6.9. And Schulte a 6.9. So those are your numbers for Columbus. I don't know what they come up with for their metrics, but it will be interesting to Wiley stats on how much of the game was played in our defensive half. That would be a timestamp. But I would say that probably a lot of the second half was compared to the first half. That might be an Opta thing, and I would have to have Opta clearance for something like that. Let's see. Matches, heat map, statistics. Let me see. Stats. Possession. Oh, possession and attacking third. I think I can look up that one. Hang on. Passes, long possession lost. Shot map. I must be thinking of press box where I can see that. Possession in the final third. Hang on just a second. Let me see if I can find that dial up. But while that's dialing up, let me continue to look at other stuff. Michael, hate the fact that two of our most prominent players have to take multiple Euro trips throughout the season. Cannot be good for them physically or mentally. But to your point, Michael, this is where, especially this time of year, where you're looking at the physios and you're looking at travel and you're saying, okay, what did they do? And how, what were their minutes? What was their load management? All those kinds of things. That to me is what you're staring at with that group is harumph. I just want all matches. I don't want next pro. Oh, boo. Okay. All right. Well, so much for that idea. All right. So there's got to be a stat somewhere like on Opta or something like that. Unfortunately, I do not have that kind of actual access. European trips throughout the season, I know. Gigi and Saba. But like I said, this is where your physios come into play. This is where they really do sit there and monitor minutes, monitor what travel is, what can they do. The second they come back in the barn with Atlanta United, they sit there and they'll monitor them and sit there and compare and contrast. And this is where you take all that empirical information and play it forward. Definitely going to be more important for that week. So keep an eye on the international window, who's playing what, where, travel, map it all out, and then we'll see what happens. And, and it might be that in some of these cases that it's catching up with folks. But once again, this is where your physios come up big, and this is where they definitely sit there and they lay all the information out for you, and they try to give you the best empirical info that you can when it comes to your players, how many minutes, all that kind of stuff. Michael, Thiago put that ball right on Miles. Yeah, and like I said, it was Brad at the near post. Brad goes up, and it goes over Brad. Like I said, I didn't realize that it was that Brad had charged the near post until I see the low angle and I see him go up for it. It goes over Brad, and Kevsy's right. Aiden hit the jump button at the wrong time. So got to Miles, and he hit it into the ground and past Schulte. So Tom explains the fandom to me here for his one friend. Says he was crew first, jumped to Atlanta United when they started, lives here, wanted to have a local team, and he's also English. Okay. So, so crew first, then jumped to Atlanta. Okay. All right. And then he went back. All right. And then David Conti on the postgame show saying that the biggest goal in Miles' career. It was funny because the reaction from Jason was classic. Yeah, making Jason bring up Nations League, beating Mexico. You get the laughter from Jason as Mike brings it up. Biggest goal of Miles' career, laughter. Biggest goal of his MLS career. There you go. Abby, and this is something I'm going to have to pay more attention to. I'm really going to have to pay more attention to this. Still not happy about things that are illegal not being called. In the last 5 minutes or so, Columbus throw-ins should have been called for back foot lifting, at least 2 of them. Well, and the other thing that you've really got to look at, and I've got to pay more attention to and probably be a little bit more vigilant, is the time that keepers have, it's like you're only supposed to have 6 seconds, I think, for a keeper before you're supposed to come up with another act and advance the game forward. There are so many keepers that are wasting time. So many keepers wasting time. And I mean so many. But no, I am, Abby, I'm going to have to pay more attention to the back foot lifting when it comes to throw-ins, definitely. Bam. Morning, Bam. Evening, Bam. Bam is watching the Cricket World Cup. Netherlands needs 261 more runs to beat New Zealand in the one-day Cricket World Cup. You got 35 overs to make it. And Abby, Hasechu should have been in the 8s. No doubt. Kefsey, why weren't there a million handball and bodies laying everywhere in Atlanta Saturday? It's just a Philly side effect. You make it sound like it's was it The Walking Dead? Is that the show on AMC where everybody it's like The Walking Dead and they just fall down or something once they get shot at or whatever? Yes. Mm-hmm. Michael says, glad we had a competent center ref on Saturday. Ismail Elfath, one of the best of pro. And I know and Michael admits it's a low bar. But, yeah, I mean, there is, it is a low bar, sadly. We should demand better of our officials. We really should. And I think at some point, someone, if they're in a position to do this, should ask about the officiating to a national front or a national forum where certain folks have to answer to it. What can be done to improve and legitimately? Here's what we'll do. We'll start it on Wednesday. When Bart comes in. And we'll find out, I mean, from Bart's grassroots perspective and from reffing down here perspective, what can be done. Because I think we need to be proactive in this. And we need to be constant in our messaging and our monitoring here. You can't let anything slide. Michael, I know it annoys the ever-living daylights out of you that we talk about it when things go wrong. But I still think we have to. Because once again, if you don't talk about something, then you're just accepting it. And, I don't think we should accept it. I know that it pisses us all off when we talk about pro and we, continue to talk about what's wrong. I mean, legitimately, though, Michael, I think that we should talk about what's right. And when you have an Ismail Elfath who is a part of this discussion and you literally can come up with maybe, one or two things where Ismail Elfath, you would have sat there and said, something differently one way or the other. We're looking for things from an Ismail Elfath perspective where it's not difficult to look at things when you're looking at, say, a Joe Dickerson or anything else. You're looking at the officials that we're staring at with Dickerson and Penso and Mendoza and just there are too many center refs that we know we're going to be expecting to be yelling. And I think that we should at the same time recognize with Ismail Elfath that there are those that make it out alive. You end up with and we were crunching the numbers with Mendoza and Chilowitz, and those were Alex Chilowitz this season 1-2, 1 win, 2 losses for Atlanta United. And it was, what do we say, 3-1-5, 5 losses, 3 wins for Chilowitz against Atlanta United in his career. But I think that we should recognize at the same time, I think we should recognize those where we're not having problems. And with Ismail Elfath, we're not having issues. That nothing blatant where you sit there and you go, dude, what was that all about? But I think Wednesday, I think we can bring it up with Bart to start the conversation forward. It's like, how do we continue to keep this in the consciousness without, making it sound like we're being repetitive and pounding the same information time and time and time again? I think that we still need to talk about it, but I think we need to continue to bring the conversation forward about improving the lot, because if pro is what pro is, and we have no other option because it is a monopoly, how do we continue to work things forward to where we're not having these discussions, or we're having them less? And I know that VAR is an entirely different discussion, especially to folks in Scandinavia and to Ange Postecoglou. So the next time that Jarrett's on the show, we'll have that discussion about Ange and VAR, and Ange is not a fan of VAR. Scandinavia as a league is the fans are not a fan of VAR, so we'll hang on to that discussion for next time. KFC. In all seriousness, you hope that TRA is okay. I know he was there to help, didn't want to sit, but he can do so next time. No word on Jamal. It was scary, and it was a concussion sub at the time, so no word yet on Jamal TRA. But when we do find out something, and it's something that Jason has talked about a lot, it's something that has to be monitored, and you can't rush anybody back, nor should you. You want Jamal to be okay, first and foremost. Take care of yourself, and then let everything else figure itself out. But that was scary with Jamal. I don't have an update yet, but when we do, we'll get updates. Abby, thoughts on Ibarra coming back? Don't know. Because, if you look at the back right now, you're solid. I know, obviously, the biggest question is Miles, and that'll get addressed in the offseason. But you've also got Noah Cobb coming in. You've got the continued development of Efren Morales. And, and what Ibarra said in the interview that was published doesn't make it optimistic that you would want to have that kind of dark cloud hanging over a situation. So, don't know. But with what you have and what you're developing, and with what you've got in the midfield, with the relationship with, and think about the midfield with now Hasechu and Muyumba, and it's more active in a speed sense. You've got your sandpaper at the back to help you out, which is, the center back's not afraid to step in. Muyumba and Hasechu in your midfield. You've got Sadic that is a part of the midfield discussion. So, like I said, for me right now, numbers, when would he play? And if you take it back to that most basic element, when would he play? So like I said, I'm looking at who you got. I'm looking at who you're developing in the back, and I'm like, I don't know where he would fit. I legitimately don't know where he would fit. Apparently, the 2028 Olympics are adding cricket, flag football, baseball, and softball back for Los Angeles. Just so we know, just so we've got it all squared away for this morning. And we mentioned Sean Rubio leaving Austin as a part of that egress that was mentioned by Rodolfo Borrell. It was mentioned that Rubio was going to be taking a position with another club. We now know that other club. It's Toronto. So Sean Rubio is now the new technical director for Toronto FC. So we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, I do. Yeah, David, I want that smoke. I really do. Yeah, I want the smoke of Philly. I want it. Because, as frustrating as they are, I think that Atlanta United has a proven way of taking care of Philly. I want that smoke. I want it. And I want to show twofold. I want to show to myself, if I'm Atlanta United, that you can go up against all of that and take care of business. And also show to Major League Soccer that Philly is not mortal. That Philly is not an immortal club. No, I want that smoke. I absolutely want that smoke. I said it on Saturday. If it's a 3-6 and Philly's the 3 and Atlanta's the 6, I want it. That's the first thing I said when they popped up that graphic with me and Joe Fryhofer at halftime. If the playoffs started today, your 3-6 in the upper right-hand corner would be Atlanta and Philly. I want that smoke. I want it. I want it. I want it. And twice on Tuesday. I want that smoke. Let's see. And Abby saying that refs take too much ish. They need to discipline the children to keep them in line, and that's card them early. And I think that's the key in our discussion about Philadelphia specifically. Just as an example, and I know that Rich will probably come after me for this, but the idea of a team that is so disrespectful as a part of their DNA, and that's the word that I'm going to use, especially with somebody like Jose Martinez. Jose Martinez literally walking up to officials and just jawing at them and finger pointing and gesticulating. It's moving wildly. Doing all of those kinds of things that are so inherently disrespectful for a player that is as good as he is defensively. He doesn't need that kind of drama class one-on-one. He doesn't need Theater 3000 to be a good player. He doesn't need Theater 3000 to sit there and add to who he is. I mean, when you have Carranza, who was a great player, he was a great Major League Soccer player. Then he goes to Philly and becomes Philadelphia. It is something inherent when you walk in the door that the player that you were outside of the Philadelphia Union goes away and you become a part of the Philly Borg mentality. Carranza, fantastic player. And when he has the blatant handball with the elbow, the chicken wing out, and he wants to question the official as to what the call is. It's all a part of their DNA. I get it. I don't think I'm the only person that's frustrated by it, league-wide. I don't think I am. But that's just that. I think that Philadelphia Union as a lot, frustrates the rest of the fan bases in Major League Soccer because I think they could be better. They could be a better team, but this is the route that they have chosen. This is the route they have chosen to be. They've chosen to be confrontational. They've chosen to be physical, which is fine. But as physical as they are, as confrontational as they are, then on the flip side, when they're challenged, they fall down easy. They really fall down easy. And it is laughable at times what you see out of Philadelphia as a group. If things aren't going their way, then they will try to goad you into. They are the perfect heel. They are the perfect heel in Major League Soccer. That, like, when they'll be more than happy to double team you when the ref isn't looking, and then like Eddie Guerrero, rest his soul, he'll throw the chair at his opponent and then lay down in the ring. And then the ref has no choice because he sees the individual with the chair that something must have happened with the guy with the chair hitting Eddie Guerrero. So, no, Philly is the perfect heel. Every entity needs a heel. Baseball, you've got your heel. Basketball, you've got your heel. Football, your heel used to be New England, and now they're awful, and now people are just hate laughing at you. Major League Soccer, it's Philly. They are the perfect heel foil for everyone else in this league. They do things a certain way. It's not hard to figure out. But to Abby's point, if you let them get away with it, they will continue to push that envelope. They will continue to work forward and get to a point, and then they will have they will have changed the margin. They will have frustrated the other team. And then that team that they're playing against will end up playing that game that Philly wants you to play, that they have goaded you into playing because of their behavior and because of what refs are not doing. And I legitimately, I mean, look, folks could have the patience of Job. If legitimately, if you're Alex Chilowich, you could have the patience of Job if Philadelphia is one of the teams that you're going up against. But I would not have the patience of Job in that situation. Somebody's going to get in my grill and call me everything but a child of God in a forklift. Bang, you're getting a card, like Abby says right there. Card them early. And I think until that happens consistently with Philadelphia, and I know this turns into union down here a lot, and I apologize, but that's what heels want you to do. Heels get under your skin. Heels make you want to talk about them. Heels want to make it done your way, their way. That's the bottom line. If a heel can turn your game into their game, then they've already won half the battle. And that's what Philadelphia does. I want that smoke. I want that smoke in the opening round. I want a 3-6 where Atlanta can go to Chester, take care of business there, come back home, win 2-0, get them blown out of the water. I want that smoke, and I think it'd be a good challenge for Atlanta United too. Tom with the Ibarra discussion. Will they want to? Depends on what they do with Osechu, and if he does come back, can he integrate as well with the new midfield? That's the thing. And Tom having fun with the caps function today. Now, Michael, I think that what we've seen from Mateus Osechu, I will respectfully disagree. I think what we've seen, unless you can find someone who can be that point guard, you've seen someone who now has that perfect foil. You've got that yin and yang that we talk about. I think that with Muyumba, you let Muyumba go forward. You'd let Osechu be more of your 6. And he's more of a stay-at-home guy when he does that. Let Muyumba venture forward to be a part of that offense with Thiago Almada. Mateus, happier being a 6. Pass, calm things down, be your outlet, be there to help and defend. I'm perfectly cool with that. So, let's see. I'm catching up on comments. So, like I said, that's literally that's where I'm going. I'm catching up on comments here. Tom, and thanks for hanging out for your meeting. Defenders of the Bank podcast. Okay, interesting fact from your mates that hang on. So, Defenders of the Bank. I'm going to have to look up the Defenders of the Bank podcast here. All right. Defenders of the Bank. All right. So what fact specifically? Because like I said, I'm only working off of one monitor today. Philly and the Scarf. LA Carson Galaxy since they joined the playoffs. Of the Carson Galaxy, D and QD twice eliminated by LAFC, and then 4 D and Qs. I think that legitimately think that Vanny is in trouble. Like I said, we're at 9 right now. We could get as high as 13. Bart, after celebrating Arsenal, definitely felt like we struggled to clear our lines for long stretches, especially after corner kicks. GD was back defending. No one was high up the field who could win a ball for us. Let's see. Not keepers for a reason. Love the fact scored an extra time after Columbus wasted so much time with fake injuries and the keeper doing his cramps and keepers doing walkabouts. Exactly. Yep. David. Bart, we got into a discussion. We got into our, and you've been listening, I imagine, but yeah, Wednesday we'll get into our trying to move pro forward discussion. We've been doing that for the better part of the last half hour. David says MLS should pick one weekend next year and go super strict, enforcing time wasting and see if the game feels more watchable. And Abby, the owners need to demand better officiating. They absolutely do. Absolutely they do. Want to rant about the team picking up only 1 point when you needed 6. I could get into Chilowitz and be a part of that. See, this goes into reffing down here. Michael Head, Next time Garber has one of those "we are so great" press conferences, someone should have the guts to ask him what he thinks about pro. Bring in some of the women's refs from the women's league. No, but it's a metric. Michael says, I don't think a 1-loss record is an adequate measure of a ref. No, but it does lean you in directions as to cause and effect. But no, you have to look at referees individually and sit there and go, okay, they did this, they did this, they did this. And Abby, I think that this is something that we talked about in the past. In the summer, bring over EPL refs and let's see how that goes. I think what we need to have are those exchange programs. We really do. We need to have exchange programs, but only in off seasons, not like referees in the Premier League going over to the UAE and then coming back the day before a match where you're a VAR and a VAR and an AVAR for some of the most highly anticipated and hotly contested matches in the Premier League. Not in your off time. Liga MX officials, bring them up. Send MLS officials down. Copa Libertadores, CONMEBOL. I want CONMEBOL officials up here. I want CONMEBOL officials up here, and I want MLS officials to experience CONMEBOL. You think their minds would change then? I think they absolutely would. Well, you don't have a meaningful match until October 28th. Yes, that is true. Yeah, Ibarra was loaned out, remember. So we'll keep an eye on Franco Ibarra. He was loaned out, so we'll see. Sosa will be one of the questions, most certainly. Bart, Miles will be gone. Really don't have an Academy or twos player ready to step in to replace him. Luis Abram is a bad defender. I would disagree on Abram. Hosechu's a bad defensive mid, fully out of contract. Need to address the defense the offseason. First priority. Been bad on defense all year. Hell, never been a good defensive team under Pineda at all. It's where we need to improve. I mean, it is what we were looking at. What? We were looking at backup striker, and we're looking at depth at the back. But once again, I think that no, I think we have to look at the back. I think we have to look at backup striker. And I know we were looking at Jamal Tiere to be a part of this discussion, but I would disagree on Luis Abram. And I would also disagree, but like I said, that's what we do here. I don't want my midfielders to be the same guy. And like I said, I think that since Muyumba has come in, I think we have seen more of what Hosechu can be. Let Thiago run. Let Tristan work the midfield, come back and help things out defensively as he does, work defensively as he does. And then if he wants to go, let him go. So we've seen what he can do. And then with Hosechu, I think that Hosechu is more of that passing point guard. I think he's the one who's there for more defense than anything else. And he helps calms things down and does things defensively. So like I said, I think that that's having that mix is what you're looking for in the midfield. Kefsi. The Joe interviews at the tailgate were well done. Cool to see that up on the Halo board, but no Knicks. Where's that tape? What they do, I think, is what they do is I think they post the interviews themselves. I think they put them all on social media. I think that's what they do. Yeah, and cheap goals given up by the team. Something is wrong systematically. Second most goals given up. Sixth, 51 conceded, giving up more goals than any Eastern Conference playoff team. What I would, Bart, what I would do, and we did this, we actually did this. I'm going to try to remember the number. The number of goals per game given up before the summer window was 1 2/3, I think. I think it was like 1 2/3 or 1 3/4. After the summer window, or after the summer window, goals per game average allowed is down to 1 1/4. So that's how I'm looking at it. It was like 1.67 or 1.75 till the June window, and now it's like 1 1/4. So I know that the defensive stuff, we talked about that in this season. I know we all agreed on that, but the numbers are down by at least a third, if not a half, a goal per game since the June transactions happened. One wrestling comment, one too many. Let's see. Yeah, so I think that, I think you got to pick up somebody at the back line to help Noah with that bridge. Although what we've seen from Noah, and we saw it from Noah also in AmFam 2 Electric Boogaloo with Luke Brennan. So we'll see what it looks like. I agree on getting stuff for the back line, and you know that you've got to figure out what Miles' situation is, and I think that would dictate the numbers and who you'd be chasing after, and to how much you're chasing. And I know that there's part of the I know there's a Brad discussion here. And yeah, Hutch, I think you're right. Pro is using Calvin ball readings of the rules. I think that this is also true. That is a part of this discussion. That Calvin ball definitely is being laid out into all of this. Let's see. Always go to the back of the tailgate. Never come to faction. They'd have to go to the right if they're going to do that. Need to sign the guy to follow Brad this winter, push him for minutes, let Brad earn the start or help with transition, but we can't go another season without addressing the position. That will be another part of this element that is interesting as well. Seeing how things are, you want to develop folks with Atlanta United and Atlanta United too. I know that you've got, Justin Garces, you were trying to have him develop to be a part of the discussion later. I don't know if it could be Q or not, Kefsey. We will see. I think that Westberg has proven himself to be a decent starter here in Major League Soccer. I don't know if in this system he's a one. That's up to more. But keepers age differently. Let me check Brad's. Check Brad's age. 38, 39. Hang on. I know that he's getting in there. I know that you're chasing it. So he is 39. So he turned 39 in September. So last month he turned 39. But I think also a part of it with Brad was wanting to prove to himself and to a lot of folks that he could come back from the Achilles injury that he suffered. And I think that that's part of it with Brad as well. So I think that Brad knows that he's on, that he's on like 15, 16, 17, 18. We just don't know where on the back nine he is yet. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on all of that. And Michael, like we said, I mean, he's coming off of the Achilles injury as well. And you know that Brad is a beast and wanted to come back and prove a point about, coming back after an injury, because he himself, and I think he would say this, he wanted to come back on multiple fronts and prove that he was still a solid number one in this league. And so, to start after having a couple of seasons ago, an uncharacteristically poor season by his own, if you were to ask him, he would want to come back and rebound from that. Then you have the injury. You want to come back and rebound from that. And you want to prove to yourself and to everyone around you that as a beast, you can come back and then you could be a quality number one. And Hutch and Mike, Michael, you're correct. There needs to be a succession plan. You're absolutely correct in that, because you have a 39-year-old starting keeper. Yes, keepers age differently, but how many more years does Brad have? I think it's an options for 2 more, I think, is where it lays out. But I mean, Brad knows that, he's got time behind him, and it's just trying to figure out, okay, succession. I think the succession plan is a part of this discussion. So we'll have that as a part of what we're getting into as well. So you're looking at keeper, you're looking at backline, you're looking at backup striker. So that's what I think you're staring at. Other stuff, well, and PK saves, I don't think, I think that there are few keepers that are good at save. It's like Tim Melia is one. I'd like to know what the numbers are for saves and PKs in general. Dane St. Clair, I think, is decent. So if PK saves for me, it's almost a bonus. It's almost a bonus category for me when it comes to PK saves. But yes, succession plan in net, work at your backline depth, backup striker. I think that's where you are. Yeah, 1 or 2 in 7 years. I know. Like I said, I don't, give me what Nick Romando used to do. I mean, Nick Romando was amazing at it. And there was a great article about how he would diagnose things and all that kind of stuff. I almost look at a save in a PK situation as a bonus. It's like, did not anticipate that. I'll take it and run. We'll see what happens. We got other stuff and news and things to talk about also. You guys can keep letting me know what you think about Atlanta United. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. We'll talk about Major League Soccer tomorrow. We'll talk about all the other things that are going on. But no, do not stop. So keep laying all your thoughts in, and we'll continue to discuss all of the other news of the morning. Since, like I said, we got into Rooney, which was a big element in all of this. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo for this morning. Tata has said, I don't know anything, in quotation marks, about rumors linking Messi with a loan move to Barcelona during the closed season for Major League Soccer, which runs from the end of October to February. That came out in Goal Magazine, goal.com today. And they're not, I don't think they're, Jorge Mas, I think, said he's not going to stand in Lionel Messi's way if he wants to go and loan out and get reps. And he wants to stay busy. But where that is, don't know. Or does he want to recover from the hamstring injury and all the wear and tear and playing all the matches and just kind of chill for a winter? We'll see. We mentioned Wayne Rooney at the top. Rooney, apparently, according to the Daily Mirror, is going to take Ashley Cole and John O'Shea with him to Birmingham City. Gabriel Jesus, Bart, could be used as part of a swap deal with Napoli for Victor Osimhen. That comes from the Daily Express. Ajax will discuss the future of head coach Maurice Stein after they dropped into the top flight's bottom 3 with a third straight defeat in the Eredivisie, according to Fabrizio Romano. You want pissed off fans? Ajax right now is a bunch of pissed off fans. Louis van Gaal, who recently joined Ajax's supervisory board, was in the stands to watch the latest defeat to AZ Alkmaar on Sunday. What do you want to bet Van Gaal steps down and becomes the interim once they get rid of Maurice Stein, whenever that happens? Eric Ten Hag's job could have been at risk if they had not managed to secure victory over Brentford on Saturday. Sevilla hoped to look to find a quick replacement after sacking manager Jose Luis Mendilibar on Sunday. He helped Sevilla win the Europa League title last year, 2 wins from 8 in the current La Liga campaign, so Mendilibar is out. AC Milan, and I got to talk to Nick about this next time he's on the show. How cool was this? AC Milan have added Olivier Giroud to their official squad list of goalkeepers following his stoppage time save in Saturday's victory over Genoa. He took the gloves following a 90+6 red card for Mike Maignan. No word on whether or not Giroud is going to start in net next time with Maignan out. But yeah, Giroud came up with a big save. Now he's listed. You go onto their website, Giroud is listed as a part of their goalkeepers, which I thought was very cool. Brentford considering a £15 million move for Sunderland's Jack Clark, English winger. Danny Roll, who's had coaching roles with RB Leipzig, Bayern Munich, and the German national team, emerging as a favorite to become the next manager at Sheffield Wednesday, not Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday. And they've got financial issues, and they're looking to bring in a new manager. Good luck on that. 4-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. And you might remember Loic Remy, from those of you maybe a decade ago who played fantasy like me. Loic Remy has announced his retirement at the age of 36. Been a free agent since being released by Brest over the summer. Once again, that's from the 3-letter paper. Take the information at your own peril. Yeah, Giroud was crazy. Hutch, I don't know if they're trying to kill Messi, but you're not going to tell Messi no. You're not going to tell him no. That's the key here. What Messi wants to do, Messi will do. Bruh, you should take it easy. I think that he is becoming more in tune with his 36-year-oldness. But you're still, I mean, if Messi wants to go out and play, he always wants to be active. Yes, he's going to be active with the national team, but it's not going to be active, if that makes any sense. So if you want Messi to stay in playing shape, in quotation marks, you're not going to tell him no. So I think that that's the key here. Does he get loaned out? Probably. Does he go play someplace over in Europe? Probably. And, so we'll see what it looks like. But I legitimately think that if he wants to go, you're not going to stand in his way. It's like, okay, you want to go? Cool. Do your thing. It's all good. And, just don't hurt yourself again. According to Connor Andrews at our friends at Talk Sport, David Beckham and Nick has seen. How many of you, show of hands? How many of you have seen the Beckham Netflix series? Show of hands. Nick has seen it, and he thinks it's really cool. I've seen the one clip where David Beckham is trying to remind Victoria about the transportation that she had when they were just started dating. And he wanted her to be honest about how her dad had a Rolls Royce, apparently. Nick has seen it all. He loves it. Alex is one episode in. And Hutch, you are correct about Messi. Water polo would keep him in shape with a lot less strain on the legs. Absolutely true. Could you see Messi as an Argentine water polo player? But remember, though, water polo, everything happens below the surface. I mean, there's the kicking and the grabbing and all that kind of stuff. All of that happens below the waterline, though. So I don't know. I mean, it would be if he did hydroaerobics, then yes, I would agree with you. Water polo can get pretty nasty and get pretty chippy below the waterline because the refs can't see it. And I don't think they have the underwater cameras available for VAR. Beckham will be offered an ambassadorial post at Manchester United if they're taken over by Sheikh Jassim, according to TalkSport. Adopted a similar role during the 2022 World Cup in the Middle East. There is a quote that I have the tape on, and I will wait until the appropriate moment to bring this stuff back. It is absolutely, Hutch. It is under Varter. Absolutely, it is. Absolutely true. There's a quote that David Beckham was asked about his time and what he thought about the World Championship in the country that he was an ambassador for. But I'm going to hang on to it until that topic has come back up. So it's going to stay in the library for a little bit. One of a number of United legends that Sheikh Jassim has earmarked for potential roles if his offer is eventually accepted. Widely criticized for his role at the World Cup, but again present in the country for the weekend Formula One race, 92 and 2003, given his thoughts on the turmoil of the ownership. Quote from The Athletic. And this is Beckham about Manchester United. Quote, "It hasn't been the greatest of times for Manchester United on the field or off the field. Seeing Eric come in as a breath of fresh air, he's had some tough decisions to make, but he's done it in the most elegant way and in a way where he's got the fans on his side." Has he seen the fans of Manchester United? Off the field, as a fan and ex-player, I just want it resolved. There has to be a decision regarding the ownership. Whoever's running your club, you want them to be passionate, be involved, make the right decisions, bring in the right players, and invest in the club. Because the club does need investment, whether it's the training facility, stadium, on the field, these kinds of big things need to be made and changes do need to happen, especially when you see the likes of Man City and what they're doing. And once again, last November was when all this stuff started. And I couldn't help but read that story and have that happen in David Beckham voice in my head. So traditionally, I guess that's just how it is now. I know Bart is still celebrating over Arsenal's win over Manchester City. We could probably get into that on Wednesday as well if we don't get into it on Tuesday. Apparently, Erling Haaland was involved in a post-match scuffle at the Emirates. Limited number of touches. Traditionally, he only gives like 25. But apparently, Kyle Walker, Erling Haaland, and a member of Arsenal's backroom staff, set-piece coach Nicolas Hover, had a bit of a dust-up at full time after the 1-0 defeat at the Emirates, before Haaland also got involved in a row. And it sparked a melee, according to TalkSport. Haaland made a gesture towards Hover, telling him to calm down with his hands. Walker was also involved in the melee, and a new camera angle on the incident showed it started after words were exchanged between the defender and the Arsenal set-piece coach. There's Bart celebrating. It's not clear what Hover, who worked at City between 19 and 21, said to Walker. However, it's clear the City duo were not happy with it. Guardiola said in the press conference after, "I know what happened, but I won't say anything. They," meaning Arsenal, "know it," end quote. Occurred directly after full-time whistle as City players went down the tunnel. Guardiola's men took a dramatic loss in a crucial clash for Arsenal at the Emirates. Martinelli had a deflected shot into the contest, settled the match. Haaland, anonymous throughout, according to our friends at TalkSport, cut a frustrated figure and often lonely one up top, largely isolated out of the match. I think that was kind of the idea. So, a big win for Arsenal. Spurs on top of the table. Bukayo Saka is going to link up with the England squad despite the hamstring injury. And once again, do not go look up the Chris Basham injury. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Guardiola claimed the absence of Rodri proved crucial in their defeat with Arsenal, and I would probably have a tendency to agree with that particular assessment. Hutch is blaming the man bun. He's done pretty well with the man bun, but apparently his touches are down from, I think, one shot per 3 attempts to one shot per 4 this year. I think it's from like 0.33 to 0.25, something like that. So that's where you're looking when it comes to Erling Haaland and his didn't have a shot. Matt Law is claiming there's a creativity problem. No, everybody's figured you out. I don't think it's a creativity problem. I think it's just, here's look, they're mortal. I still think they're going to win the league, but I think they're mortal. They just have to figure it out. It shows what Rodri means to them. So you're going to look at all that. And Bart, save this one for Wednesday. Referee escorted off by security after tempers boil over in a WSL game between Man City and Chelsea. Emily Heaslip takes center stage by booking 11 and sending off City's Alex Greenwood and Lauren Hemp before the visitors' late equalizer. Red cards in the 38th and the 81st. Chelsea got an equalizer at 90+6. Guro Reiten's equalizer denied the 9 women of Manchester City victory. 11 yellows, 1 to City manager Gareth Taylor, dismissal for Alex Greenwood after 38, and Lauren Hemp 9 minutes from the end of normal time. Escorted off by security at the end of the game as home supporters voiced their disapproval, having played 13 minutes of added time. 13 minutes of added time. Gareth Taylor, quote, "If the referees are consistent with these new rules, you're going to have a lot of games like that." Felt the same last weekend when there were 2 red cards against West Ham. We've gone from here to here with how we interpret these rules. There were 11 yellows and 2 reds, and it was not a malicious game at all. I just think let's move it a little bit slower. If not, we're going to have an 8-a-side league if they're consistent. I don't think it just ruined it for me. It did for everyone. I spoke to Emma Hayes midway through halftime. We just looked at each other. We've had 3 cards in 2 games, so if you hadn't seen us, you'd think we were a dirty team, but nobody who's seen us is going to think that. I just like to keep 11 players on the pitch. So keep an eye on that from our friends at the Telegraph. So that's probably going to end up being a part of reffing down here on Wednesday. And let me know if this surprises you at all. From our friends at The Guardian, FIFA's relaxed stadium rule clears path for Saudi Arabia to host the 2034 World Cup. From Jack Snape at The Guardian, Bids for the 2034 World Cup require 4 existing stadia instead of 7. The successful Saudi Asian Cup bid included 4 FIFA-compliant venues. 4. They relaxed the bidding rules around stadia for the 2034 World Cup in a move that allows countries with fewer established football venues to host the tournament, at odds with attempts in other sports to create opportunities. So, I know, it shocks. Only 4 venues available or allowed. Once again, from Jack Snape. FIFA's overview of the bidding process for 30 and 34. Member associations, quote, must propose a minimum of 14 suitable stadia, of which at least 7 must be existing stadia. Decisions at odds with attempts in other sports to create more sustainable events and minimize the construction of white elephants. However, in FIFA's overview of hosting requirements for 34 circulated last week, requirements had been relaxed. Of the 14 suitable stadia proposed, any bid must propose a minimum of 4. Allocated the 34 tournament to bidders from Asia and Oceania. Under the policy of rotation, Saudi Arabia basically said, we're doing it, and y'all want to chase after us, fine, but you ain't going to win. 2027 Asian Cup, 4 stadia, 40,000 capacity or more, 2 in Riyadh being upgraded, 1 in Jeddah and a new one in Dammam. Construction commenced last month. I'm shocked. I know we all are. We are just all shocked about these relaxing of rules. Who knew that this would happen? As I bang the table. Who knew this would happen? I certainly did not. Garrett Southgate is asking the FA medics to assess Bukayo Saka's injury, by the way. So that's another reason why he is going to be part and parcel and hanging out with what's going on there. We'll get into the protest and resistance of VAR from Ange Postecoglou and Nick Ames next time that Jarrett's around. No surprise, UEFA's postponing matches in Israel after the outbreak of the war. Israel set to face Switzerland Thursday in Euro 2024 qualifying in Group I, but the match scheduled for Tel Aviv not taking place as scheduled. The nation's European U21 qualifiers against Estonia, Germany on the 12th and 17th have also been postponed, and UEFA has said that they're going to closely monitor the situation. A-side would work in New York. Michael Head, FIFA's going to FIFA. Yes, such a corrupt. And Australia and New Zealand need to run it back for 2034. Right there with you. What to watch today? And it will be, wonder how in-depth it's going to be today outside of the colleges. We'll take a peek. B1G's got college minutes, 7 o'clock. 3 o'clock this afternoon, you've got Spanish La Liga Hypermotion with Villarreal 2 and Espanyol. I'm guessing that's La Liga B. League One match of the week, Burton Albion and Cambridge United at 3 o'clock. 2 matches in college women's play on the plus. Presbyterian and Winthrop at 6. Kansas State and BYU at 7. Argentine Primera on Paramount Plus, a doubleheader at 5 o'clock, accessible for you. Arsenal and Bonfield at 5. Barraca Central and Colón is at 5. Vélez Sarsfield and Atletico Tucumán is at 7 o'clock. Before we go, I know that I wanted to mention what's going on in League One and Championship. And with all of that activity, it's literally 2 teams left in League One. Everyone is in except for the 6th spot and trying to figure out who the last one is, and it's down to 2 teams. Union Omaha in, North Carolina FC in, Northern Colorado in. We know that. That we know. And those 3 teams, we don't know the order. Union Omaha's at 62 points. North Carolina FC's at 60. Hailstorm's at 59. They've got to figure it all out with 1 match to go. Who's going to do the 1, the 2, and the 3? Charlotte is in at 48 points. Greenville's in at 47. They're going to be the 4 and the 5. We just don't know who. Ford Madison's at 43 points. South Georgia Tormenta is at 41. They had a 3-match win streak snapped when they played Union Omaha on the weekend for the home finale. But Everybody else is eliminated. One Knox with a draw eliminated. They're at 38 points. Chattanooga and Lexington at 31. Richmond at 29. Central Valley's at 20. So here's the deal. Forward Madison has the one match left. They have the one match left. And it is against Union Omaha. They take on Union Omaha at 7 o'clock. South Georgia Tormenta, I think they've got Charlotte. They do. They're in Charlotte. Forward Madison's got a home game against Union Omaha at 7 o'clock. South Georgia Tormenta has their last match of the season, but they are on the road at Charlotte at 7 o'clock. So we'll keep an eye on that, and that's going to determine what happens with the 6 and the 6 spot, because right now, 2 teams, 1 spot, the 6 and the 7. Tormenta travel to Charlotte. They have to better Forward Madison to get in, and that's where things stand. So we'll keep an eye on that. Len will go over USL Championship and everything else as we go this week. So once again, thanks to all of you guys. Abby, Nick loved it. Alex is 1 episode in. So that is the show from Chattanooga. We'll be back in Office HD tomorrow. And thanks to all of you guys for hanging out. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about, more Atlanta United, more Major League Soccer, more news of the day, all that kind of stuff. Thanks to all of you for putting up with me here in a hotel room in Chattanooga. We'll be back at it again tomorrow. And mucho plati, all played safe. And since it's the end of the show, that means I get to do this, and we'll be back at it again 9 to 5 tomorrow morning. Play it safe. We'll see you then.